Hello everybody, my name is Disguise Centennial, and this is a YouTube. Hey man, I needed an intro card and this video is on a tight budget, so cut me some slack, okay? So I'm relatively new to this, and by relatively new, I mean this is my first video. I'm what you'd call a clean pair of boots. Given that, apologies if it's not as high quality as other videos you might see pertaining to what we're about to talk about, but bear with me. I've been meaning to jump into the political landscape for quite some time now, and felt that recent events provided a perfect opportunity, given that many of the political activist kids here that have been in the news and were at this event are either my age of 18 or not much younger than me. And this event itself led to another age-based event, a national high school walkout, just last week. These kids, like me, and like many of you watching, are the future, and it's rather scary how fast it's coming. In only a few more years, it will be here. The lines in the sand are being drawn as we speak. With that in mind, I felt the best way to start this channel would be to refresh everyone, including myself, on the power of dialogue and conversation, as well as explain the potential weakness of a political culture centered around two-party debate. To start off, I'll be skipping to Senator Marco Rubio's opening speech. For the purpose of this video, I'll be skipping over Senator Bill Nelson and Representative Ted Deutsch's speeches respectively, as they centered around the gun control debate going on and not what this video is discussing. Rubio's speech, in contrast, was less about the debate and more about the significance this event could have if handled correctly. Not just with the gun control debate, but with all of politics.
There's no words that could describe the pain that a parent feels at the loss of a child, or when you lose someone that's loved. It's not natural to lose a child. And I am a U.S. Senator, and I'm also a member of this community, and I'm also a father, and I'm also a husband, and I'm also someone who loves, but I don't know what the pain it's like to lose a child. I did not grow up in a school or at an era in which children were shot in classrooms. And even as we watch this pain and the nation suffers with you, we can never know the feeling. I can tell you this, there is a message that's come through loud and clear. And that is that beyond simply the pain, mixed with that pain is a demand for action. And, well, in that realm, I want to be honest with you. I think all of us would like to see action, but I want to tell you what we're going to struggle with. We are a nation of people that no longer speak to each other. We are a nation of people who have stopped being friends with people because of who they voted for in the last election. We are a nation of people who have isolated ourselves to only watch channels that tell us that we're right. We're a nation of people that have isolated ourselves politically, and to a point where discussions like this have become very difficult. I'm here tonight, and I'm here tonight to answer any question anyone has, explain anything you want to know about what I stand for, what I've done, and what I plan to do. And to the students that are here tonight, the ones on the stage, the ones in the audience, I want you to know that I'm actually extremely excited about your engagement. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because I think you have a chance to do a lot more than change guns laws. You should push for that. You have a chance to do a lot more than that. You have a chance to change the way we talk about politics in this country. And the reason why this event is here so important tonight, the reason why this event is so important, none of us wish we were here. 8 days ago, none of you thought you would be here. But we are here, and it's important that we are, because tonight people who have different points of view are going to talk about an issue that I think we all believe, and that is that this should never have happened, and it can never happen again. And if we want to truly ensure that it doesn't, then we are going to have to find a way as a nation, to work with people that may not agree with us on certain things, without accusing one another of being evil people. And my side is as guilty of that as any. And here's what I hope for the students. Do not make the mistakes that my generation is making. It may not be, I hope it's not too late for my generation, but it most certainly is not for yours. Understand that people, and I think on a regular basis we do that in the Senate, Between Senator Nelson and I think people that disagree on issues can agree on what they want to achieve and can find a way forward. And that's what I hope tonight is beyond anything else. Because sadly, we cannot reverse what happened 7 days ago today. But we can make sure that one of these events never happens again in any community in this country. And if tonight is the beginning of that, then we will have said that this was meaningful. And that's what I'm here to do. And that's what I hope we can achieve together. And that's why I'm here tonight. You may not like everything I say or everything I stand for, but I want to find a way forward to solve this problem so that never again will any community have to face this, any parent have to face this, or any child, yours or mine, have to face this in what I believe is the greatest nation on earth.
When first hearing this speech, I felt a surge of three things: respect, pride, and hope. Respect for Rubio for coming into what was essentially, to him, the lion's den. This was a room of liberals and of Democrats. He knew they would go in hard on him, but he was willing to face that hurricane so the children of this nation would hopefully be better than him and his colleagues. Pride in my nation for what could be the start of its coming together, and pride in my peers for being the ones to hopefully lead that change. And hope. Hope for this to go well and for the era of increasing polarization in this nation to finally come to its natural end. Maybe this was it. Maybe this was the moment the United States would become united again. Sadly, as the CNN quote-unquote town hall progressed, my naive but well-meant hope regressed. There were definitely some noteworthy moments of potential, of which I'll get into when they come. But for the most part, this event came off as nothing more than just another sad and otherwise useless debate. The downfall started almost immediately, when the father, Fred Gutenberg, of the victim that was named Jamie Gutenberg, held the mic. Almost immediately from the get-go, he attacks Marco Rubio for something extremely subjective, and the crowd, tasting blood in the water, began to roar at this.
Your comments this week and those of our president have been pathetically weak.
Now, it's not that this isn't understandable. This man is obviously not doing it for virtuous signaling or anything materialistic. You can tell by his face not cracking an inch. He is wearing a mask because he has been broken on the inside and doesn't care for the applause. He just lost his child, his heart, and so he's lashing out. That being said, we should never use emotion to decide policy. You cannot compromise with it, nor can you reason with it, which you will see as Mr. Gutenberg continues, demanding his way or the highway.
Look at me and tell me guns were the factor in the hunting of our kids in this school this week. And look at me and tell me you accept it and you will work with us to do something about guns.
Fred, I'm not, first of all, let me explain what I said this week, and I'll repeat it. I'll repeat what I said. And what I said, and then I'm going to tell you what we're going to do. We're going to talk about guns, and we're going to talk about what I said this week. And here's what I said. I said that the problems that we are facing...
Let him speak. I think we need to hear it.
I'm saying that the problems that we're facing here today cannot be solved by gun laws alone. And I'm going to tell you what we've done already and what I hope we'll do moving forward.
Were guns the factor in the hunting of our kids?
Of course they were. And here's
it's the weapon of choice. Can you say that?
Emotion is never a good thing when deciding the next step. Emotion caused the downfall of Napoleonic France and Nazi Germany, and caused the initial rise of Hitler, Stalin, and Mao. Many civil wars have started because of emotion, including our country's own in the 1860s. Meanwhile, controlling emotion has caused stateside women's rights, the peaceful secession of India, and desegregation within the states. A lot more good has been done when in control of emotion than when letting it run wild and free. Sadly, as you may have noticed, the crowd does not know this history, and therefore has not partaken in its lessons. It's been incessantly polarized, clapping for the Democrats while booing for the Republican. Ironically enough, this has been the elephant in the room. Now, lots of people, including Ben Shapiro, have attacked Jake Tapper for this town hall. After all, this town hall was obviously an attempt at propaganda. Many noticed there weren't any pro-gun kids there, despite there being pro-gun kids at Parkland High School, the most prominent being Kyle Kashev, who has been noticeably swept under the rug by liberal media, much as conservative media has been doing with the anti-gun kids. All of this having been taken into account, I still feel like Mr. Tapper was unjustly scapegoated for his network. He's not CNN, and although he works there, he addressed this issue and defended Rubio against the crowd. Republicans say he didn't do enough, which is arguable, but he did try, which is not, and should be commended for it.
I do believe what you're saying is true. I do believe what you're saying.
Everyone. The senator has a right to be heard. He's answering Mr. Guttenberg's question. The only thing I'm not going to tell anybody in this room to not feel. I'm not going to tell anybody in this room not to feel strongly and not to feel emotional. The only thing I will tell you is, when you do this, you're eating up into the time that other people in the audience, other people who want to ask questions, are asking questions, okay? So you behave how you want to behave, but I want to make sure that as many people in this community get to ask questions. That's why I'm here.
The most earning of applause on the left, however, is Senator Bill Nelson. Senator Nelson defended Rubio, which could have cost him votes, yet in a very classy way that I'm sure only earned him more. Now, I want you to really focus on this short speech in defense of Rubio, almost if not as much as Rubio's opening speech. These two senators are what our politicians should strive to be. Not only do they get a lot done, but they do it working together and across the aisle. Nelson does not see Republicans as evil, and Rubio does not see Democrats as evil. They instead see people, who may be wrong people, but are still good people, trying to do what's right in different ways.
My colleague, Senator Rubio, and I have a good relationship. We get a lot of stuff done together. And I want you to know that I told him before we came out here tonight that he had guts coming here when in fact there is no representative of the state of Florida. Our governor did not come here, Governor Scott. But Marco did.
Another thing I'd like to look at is how the students treat the people they're addressing. For these next two students, I'd like you to put yourself in the place of Rubio. Imagine they're requesting something of you, and this is what they're opening with.
I want to bring in Senior Ryan Deitch. He has a question for Senator Rubio.
First, I'd just like to say to Senator Rubio, thank you so much for coming out here. I know, especially everybody that I've been working with over the past week, we've just really wanted to reach out and speak face to face to anybody who has a say in this debate. And I know this is not a debate, this is a discussion, but I'm just thankful to have you here, to be looking at you today. Thank you so much, sir, for coming.
That versus...
I want to bring in Cameron Kasky. He's a junior, and he has a question for Senator Rubio. Cameron?
Sorry, I know I'm not supposed to do this, but I'm not gonna listen to that. Senator Rubio, it's hard to look at you and not look down the barrel of an AR-15 and not look at Nicholas Cruz. But the point is, you're here, and there are some people who are not.
Now you can see that both students meant to come off as complimentary. However, only one manages to achieve that. Why is this? It's because the second one allowed emotion to get the better of him, blurting things out and acting erratic. He also demonizes Rubio, directly equating him to a mass-murdering psychopath, which is obviously wrong. There is one good thing he said, which I do agree with.
Thank you. And guys, look, this isn't about red and blue. We can't boo people because they're Democrats and boo people because they're Republicans. Anyone who's willing to show change, no matter where they're from, anybody who's willing to start to make a difference is somebody we need on our side here.
However, right after this, he proceeds to contradict himself, attributing to the NRA the same status that many people hold to the opposition party of their ideology. For instance, Democrats with Republicans or Republicans with Democrats.
And this is about people who are for making a difference to save us and people who are against it and prefer money. So, Senator Rubio, can you tell me right now that you will not accept a single donation from the NRA in the future? I wish I could have asked the NRA lady a question. I wish the NRA lady I could have talked to, because I would ask her how she can look in the mirror, considering the fact that she has children, but, you know, maybe she avoids
What
those.
was that? I'm sorry?
I don't freaking know.
That's okay.
Nothing was accomplished here. All he did was shift the blame from the Republican Party to the NRA. He said we can't have an us versus them mentality, only to then champion exactly that, an us versus them mentality. Basically, not a single bit of progress was achieved. We need to get this notion out of our heads that the NRA are some kind of evil Illuminati group. They're just gun advocates that got together because they share that common interest. The same can be said of 100% of workers' unions, such as teachers' unions, which aren't inherently evil any more than the NRA is inherently evil. And even when the unions might do things perceived as bad, they're not trying to be bad people. And neither are the NRA. They're people doing what they think would help our country, just like the rest of us. The NRA are not murderers. Not one mass shooting has been enacted by an NRA member. Yet you can hear people from the crowd call the spokeswoman of the NRA, Dana Loesch, a murderer.
You can shout me down when I'm finished, but let me answer Emma's question.
Who did she kill to earn that title? No one. The NRA are being scapegoated as being the cause of these issues, despite them having also proposed measures to keep guns in safe hands.
That's the big question, and I wish that this network had also covered this more, as other media networks would have covered it. That's a huge... Wait a second.
You guys, if I can't hear her statement, I can't come up with a rebuttal. Please.
Wait a second. Do you guys want to stop mentally insane individuals from getting firearms?
You better not get one now.
Yes?
So I had a question for Ms. Loesch, but she's not here yet. So for her and the NRA, which she's probably watching, and all of you puppet politicians that they are backing, was the blood of my classmates and my teachers worth your blood money?
Senator Nelson, you don't have to answer that question. Let's move on to the next question.
Excuse me? I'm a student. I should have.
I know, I understand that, but your question, I thought you were going to ask Senator Nelson a question. Your question sounds like you wanted to ask Dana Loesch a question in the next segment, and I'm happy to do that if you want.
It's actually fine. I had another question for you, Senator Nelson.
Okay, let's do that then.
So,
I mean, seriously, blood money? Blood money? The NRA are not the Pharisees visiting Judas, people. They're fellow Americans. And this girl is so out of bounds, she expects Senator Nelson to answer a question not even directed at him, because she couldn't wait for Mrs. Loesch, who did eventually come on, as you have seen. And the crowd and her are so into this witch hunt that they boo Mr. Tapper for doing his job, which is keeping the conversation on track. Look, I get it. You might not agree with all of their propositions. I certainly don't agree with all of them. But that doesn't mean they're evil. 2 of their propositions are they want to put metal detectors in schools and have federally mandated psych evals for gun purchases. Does that sound evil? Those are components of their official position. But nobody wants to hear their official position. People just want someone to point at and say, this is your fault. But come on, they don't sound so evil now, right? That's because they aren't. They're good people that want to keep our kids safe just as much as anyone. They just have a different idea of what that means. We need to stop pointing fingers and start offering solutions. And then after we offer those solutions, we need to compromise with the other side because they're in this too. This means we need to start to listen to each other and be willing to reach a middle ground. Stop seeing concessions as inexcusable losses and start seeing them as necessary sacrifices to achieve the steps you need towards whatever goal you believe in. And for God's sake, don't be the guy pinning deaths on people who had no hand in them simply because they disagree with you on something. That's entirely unfair to them and to the lives lost. Speaking for the dead doesn't work when you don't know every single position of every single victim, some of which may have actually been in conflict. And even if you did, it's still wrong to place their deaths on someone that wasn't the cause, because human lives are more precious than gold, and to do that to someone shows you still have a ways to go in learning empathy.
In the name of 17 people, you cannot ask the NRA to keep their money out of your campaign?
I think in the name of 17 people, I can pledge to you that I will support any law that will prevent a killer like this.
No, but I'm talking
getting a
NRA
gun.
money.
I will do what I think is right. And if people want to support my agenda, they're welcome to do so, but they buy into my ideas. I don't buy into theirs.
Okay, so I knew that was going to happen.
I knew that was going to happen too, because it'd be a completely unnecessary gesture unless he was actually corrupt and feared it getting out. All it does is force him to take a side in a war that isn't justified. It's time we remember the old saying, united we stand, divided we fall. Stop looking for enemies in your fellow Americans and start looking for solutions. Maybe starting with areas in legislation that are weak points you could improve upon. If the NRA were all to die tomorrow, it wouldn't stop the next mass shooting, because nothing in our rules would have been changed. If you're still here, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this. I didn't mean for it to go on this long, but keep in mind the event I covered was 2 hours long and had many notable moments, lots of which I didn't include in this video. So if you want to see the full event, links in the description below. For future videos, I'm going to aim for a 10 to 15 minute mark for the average lot, and every now and then I'll do a 20-minute video, but I'll try and keep those few and far between. Please hit that like button with one hand and the subscribe button with the other, and I encourage you to leave a comment down below with your toes. My name is This Guy Centennial, and once again, thanks for watching.
Beats by the pound, rhymes by the brick. Mic check, 1, 2, run, get your fix. The know-how, here's an update, here we go now. Same drum machine, same mic to the showdown. Beats by the pound, rhymes by the brick. Mic check, 1, 2, run, get your fix. The know-how, here's an update, here we go now. Same drum machine, same mic to the showdown.